Go Action Heroes. This is Debbie Levitt from Delta CX, and it is that time of the week. It is Tuesday, and that means it is Q&A AMA time, and I am here live for an hour to take your questions, though ahead of time we got a bunch of questions. So hopefully I will have time for some live questions, which you can send in the chat, which I'm monitoring from LinkedIn, YouTube, and Twitch. And also, am I pointing at the right thing today? Also, yes, the deltacs.com/links will also lead you to all kinds of things, all kinds of trouble you can get into, like asking a question live and anonymously, which I find helps. That's where most of our questions come from. Before we get started, thanks as always to the people who are, there it goes, supporting my Patreon at a paid level, which starts at $1 American per month. I greatly appreciate anybody joining our Patreon, free or paid, but most of the perks live in the paid realm. So it's something you choose to support financially, please do. And if you don't want to support it financially, just join the free version of the Patreon so you can be among the first to know things. See, all right, so let's make sure I've got my email open so I can see any anonymous questions that come in. And let's get started with the first question that came in. We got lots of long questions today, and we don't mind them. We welcome them. Let's take a look. I'm so lost. I have 5 projects in my portfolio. They are very high in quality, where I showcase great storytelling of how I started with a problem that needs solving and the steps I took to get to the end product. This included speaking to users to create the best designed solutions and iterating based on their feedback. Even some mentors have told me, your projects are great. Despite this, I'm still getting rejected for UX jobs and internships, even showing similar industry experience related to the company I interviewed for. Why is the market so challenging and unfair for everyone? I understand it's not about having a perfect portfolio, resume, or being 100% qualified for the role. I'm now 3 years into the job hunt since leaving undergrad. I think this is a pretty common sentiment, unfortunately. So first of all, of course, I'm sorry about what you've gone through and are going through. The job market is definitely the worst I've ever seen in my career. I've been saying that for the last few years, and it just seems to be getting worse. So I'm sorry about this. Number one, it might not even be you. I don't know who you are, so I haven't seen your portfolio. Everybody can get one free portfolio review from me. I'll put that link in the chat. Let's see. It should come up on the screen as well. There we go. deltacx.link/portfolio-review. Everyone gets one free. I usually do them on Saturdays. I can take a look because you're saying they're very high in quality. Maybe. You're saying they've got great storytelling. Maybe. Mentors liked them. Who? So again, could it be something in there that's turning people off? Maybe. I'm not going to say definitely. I don't know. I haven't seen it. But outside of that, it can certainly be just the sheer bulk of people that are trying to apply for these jobs. Because what you wrote to me anonymously here, it's on this side, I guess, do this. Yeah. What you've written to me here, I think hundreds or thousands or even more people could write me something similar. And that's just the unfortunate problem that we have right now. As for why is the market so challenging and unfair for everyone? I could give you reasons as to how we got here and why it's so bad, but I don't think that helps. I don't think it would change anything. I don't think it would make anybody feel good. So in effect, we just have to hope that there are some good UX leaders out there and some good non-UX leaders out there who realize that giving people their first job at that junior or apprentice or internship level is extremely important for developing people's careers, and that they should do more of it, not less of it. So Unfortunately, I don't have a good answer here. So again, I don't know if it's something you could do better because I haven't seen your stuff, but I do know that the market is challenging and unfair for pretty much everyone, and you're absolutely not alone. And I don't have good advice, so I'm happy this was free, because you shouldn't have paid for what you already knew. I'm going to have to move to another question because I just don't have a good answer for that last one. I'm sorry. Okay, small text, but that's fine. Let me read it out loud. This one says, hello, I have some questions about usability testing. Let's say I give the user a scenario, keeping it general, realistic, and not leading. And the design concept we want to test is designed intuitive enough that they understand well where they have to click and what they have to do to complete the task. But the concept is actually different from the mental model the user has around this topic. This discrepancy, however, doesn't come through since the user can still finish the task without showing problems with it. Okay, now we've got two questions that this person's asking. Q1, question 1, how do you address or capture something like that? Like if the user doesn't mention or show confusion about it in the scope of the session, even if it's different from how they think about it. Okay, so my first question is, how do you know this? How do you know that the user only thinks about things one way and it's always this one way, and that this task, supposedly going as well as you said, is some sort of weird thing you need to talk about or mention? Do we have to? If your usability test has good technique and rigor and it was done well, what are we talking about? What are we trying to explain? Oh, thank you for the subscription. Don't forget to subscribe here at CX-CC over on YouTube. What are we trying to excuse or explain? And is it possible that there are multiple mental models or a different mental model? We had this conversation at my job even recently, where something in our research showed that people prefer things a certain way, but research from 5 years ago made it look like people preferred the other way. And so there was a stakeholder who said, no, this is the mental model. It matches this other way. And my thought was, we're learning what the mental model is. It could be different than we thought or evolving. So I guess my question back to you, anonymous person, is why is it so important for you to mention that the mental model is this, but this task went well? If the task genuinely went well and looked like a good solution for the problem that we understand, and that people made it through easily without being led or poked, and it wasn't a crappy Figma prototype where you can't get it wrong, then why are we acting like we have to excuse or explain something in our study? Maybe, I don't know. I think I'm missing information here. Question 2. Also, if a design concept is clear and intuitive enough, is it okay not to match the current mental model of the user? Again, this is so vague. I'm really struggling here. For instance, because it would make things easier for a process / other users and so on, or should we always aim to make the design as close to their mental model as possible? I think I'm struggling here. I think this is just too vague. I don't know what this is. I don't know if this is a shopping cart or a Navy warfighter in an airplane. I don't know what the mental model is. I don't know what the design concept is that seems to be clear and intuitive according to you, though I don't know if it is clear and intuitive. I don't know how it matches the mental model. I don't know how it doesn't match the mental model. So I would have to say, I don't know. I don't have enough information from this anonymous question to try to answer it. I'm sorry you thought I had enough information here, but it's just way too vague. A lot of stuff in CX and UX is, it depends. I need the context. I need to know more. I need to know what we're talking about here. You sound very confident in this design, and you sound like it's great and it's intuitive and it's a winner and whatever, but it doesn't match people's mental models. And then I want to know, how did we determine the mental model? What if that's not right? I don't even know. I just feel like I'm missing information here. So I'm going to have to say, unless you happen to be watching live and you write in and give me some extra information, I'm going to have to move on because I don't know what you're talking about. So hey, I'm live. If you'd like to ask a question, you can ask it in the live chat or send it over to deltacx.com/links. Otherwise, I'll keep going through the questions I received ahead of time. Okay, here's another one. Do you think it makes sense for UX to have tickets? I find them nice to when they set a topic and expected results. I think you didn't proofread this. I'm not sure what you're saying. I find them nice to when they set a topic and expected results, but leave open how to make it. But sometimes I also get tickets that already define the desired solution because the POs had some previous discussions with users and stakeholders. We're working on an internal tool. They're close. And while they leave it open on how to solve it from an interaction design point of view, I feel sometimes I miss the bigger picture of who's going to do what and how and why and in which context, what can I do about it? Oh, okay. I think I get it. So I think UX having tickets is tough. We don't work from that kind of checklist mentality where we have to get these tickets done. We don't usually arrange our work that way. Other people arrange our work that way. So the whole ticket thing is really, talk about a mental model. It's really just something that doesn't naturally occur for us and is something we end up having to do based on our jobs. So what you're really talking about here is the problem isn't so much the ticket. It's not that the ticket exists or that you're in a ticketing system. It's that your PO is giving you orders. Your PO is saying, here's what I need you to design, make this screen, do my idea. I have the solution, just do this. And it sounds like sometimes they do that and sometimes they don't. Okay, that's better than them doing it all the time. So congratulations, they're only doing it sometimes. But I think I would want to talk with them, if you have a good relationship with them, about the process and say, hey, I always prefer when you give me the tickets that have more information around the topic and the results and who's going to use this and what's the context and use cases and what data did you have that, can you share your data with me? It sounds like you've been speaking with users and stakeholders. I should know that stuff as well. We're all part of an empowered team together, right? So I want to know what you know. I'm sure you want to know what I know. So I would probably try to talk to that person about process and about trying to see if when they do assign a ticket to you that they can fill you in on all of that information. And I would say maybe get them into that habit first. And if that seems to be going well, then, it's up to you whether you want to try to start just doing the best design that solves it and say, hey, I know you wanted it to be this solution, but I've mocked this up because based on the information you gave me, this might work better for our users, or this might work better for our business goals, or this might work better for both. And you have to see how they react to that because anything could happen. I would definitely say this is a conversation to have. If you're not comfortable having that conversation, perhaps this is something you can discuss with your manager and see if your manager has a preference on how to handle it. Just going to turn off some heaters here since I know sometimes people complain about the background noise. Remember, I don't think in this case the ticket is the problem. It sounds like it's the relationship with the PO and when they are trying to get you to take orders. All right, we've got some more questions that came in ahead of time. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. If you'd like to ask a question live, please do. This side. You can ask it live in the chat or deltacx.com/links. And of course, check out our events calendar for all of the stuff that's coming up. We've got live streams, we've got webinars, and I've got my space workshop coming up, strategizing products and customer experiences. That'll be in mid-April. Check that out as well. And of course, join our Patreon. All right, so we've got a new question. Let's see. Oh, I need to make the font a little smaller, even on my giant TV, this is just too small to read. But we'll put it all up anyway, just in case someone is on a blimp. Hi, I have just tested a concept I'm working on with 3 users by doing a usability test with each of them. Okay, so my first question is why only 3? That does seem a little bit low. The old guidelines have been 5 per persona or segment or typology, so 3 sounds a little low, but maybe that's all you had access to, so let's keep going. The product is an internal tool, and these 3 people are the ones who will work with this feature. The only 3? You're building something for 3 people? That's very nice. And since the whole thing has quite a lot of domain knowledge and all the users have very defined roles, I find it hard to argue about testing with more people. Like if you ask someone something that is not related to their task, they get confused and say, for this you should ask so-and-so. Okay, so let's start with that first part of this question, even though I'm not sure what the question is yet. Ultimately, good usability testing tests tasks, and it only makes sense to give people the tasks that they do. It wouldn't make sense to have me do a task shopping for babies' clothes. I've never done that in my life. I've never had a baby on purpose. So it would only make sense to give me tasks that relate to something I have done or do now or am likely to do in the future. So if you are trying to test other parts of the product, but you only have these 3 people and you're asking them to do someone else's job, I think their answer is quite fair. To say, hey, wait a minute, this isn't my job. Go have Sally do this. This is what Sally does. So I would say you might need to expand out from your usability test of 3 people to make sure that a good number of people who will actually do this task are the people testing the task. Now I'm working on a second version of the concept. But if I test it again with the same people, wouldn't that bias the result? Because they just saw this concept. They were a bit confused about some part of the flow, but at the end they managed to finish the tasks. They say the concept was fine and that it worked for them. Yeah, and I don't take that as the truth. A lot of people are very polite. Yeah, that was, if you say, hey, was that good? Well, gosh, what are they going to say, especially if they know you designed it? No, it sucked and you're a loser, so I go by what people did and not by what they say, because they might just say polite things. And here you're saying there were confusions. So whether or not they say they like it, you've got to fix the confusions, and hopefully that's what you worked on. So to continue here, you said, I want to make it less confusing, but if I approach them again with a slightly different concept, scenario would also be the same because it's about one specific process. I'm worried they won't understand why I'm doing this again and why things are different if they worked fine already. Okay, so if you really can't get other people to usability test this, because the best practice is to always have fresh people looking at it so that you don't have people who've already seen it, they have some savvy, they're biased, or they're wondering, why are you showing me this again? So if you can't get all new people, then you can work again with the new people. And I think the best way to say it is not to say, hey, y'all seemed confused last time. Nobody wants to hear that. That can sound a little insulting. So I would say you can always say something like, hey, last time it looked like there might be some room for improvement here, so I created a different variation, and I'd like to run you through those tasks again. Now, if they say, I don't care, I don't have time for this, then it's up to you if you're going to push for this and say, well, this would only take 5 or 10 minutes. Can we please do this so that I can make sure I'm making the best solution for you? You're the one who's got to use it every day, every week, every minute, whatever it is. So, that's what I would do, but I certainly wouldn't tell them I'm testing it again because they all seemed confused last time. I would just say, I've made some changes to it and I'm curious where there's room for improvement. And that also means probably change your questions. Don't ask, do you like it? Is the concept good? Try to ask questions like, how could this be improved? And fish more for room for improvement rather than fishing for they like it or the concept is fine. I am just going to take one moment to take a look at our stream. And see if we've got anybody watching live. Let's see. Just see if things are working. YouTube says 7 people watching. Hey, YouTubers. Oh, Drew, there you go. Drew says, not everybody that could be buying children clothes will be parents. Buying clothes for a friend. I have no idea how to buy kids clothes. I've never even bought kids clothes even for a friend. So yes, I should have been more specific in my example that not only have I not had children, but I've never bought children's or babies' clothes for any human on the planet ever. I bought one person a baby blanket. Other than that, it would be not a good idea to test a children's clothes website with me because holy cats, I've got no idea, no frame of reference. I am not in your target audience is what I'm trying to say. Thank you, Drew, and good to see you. Let's see if we've got anybody watching on the LinkedIn. Yes, we've got a few people there as well. So feel free to add your comments or questions. I do have some more questions that were sent in ahead of time, so I'm going to continue with them. But yeah. Thank you for all the people who've been sending in questions anonymously and ahead of time. It gives us some stuff to work on when the show starts. All right, let's go back into my system. And hey, Sharon. Sharon, thanks for recommending me to a person. I spoke to them today, and that was a fantastic conversation. I appreciate you recommending me for that. Okay, this was an interesting question. We got a few inside questions today, and this is one of them. Maybe it's too early to know, but I'm curious to know, how's it going with your new YouTube channel? Do you see a change in views as you expected? So some of you might know that this is my second YouTube channel, CX-CC. The first one is Delta CX. It's got over 800 hours of videos, so there's a great archive there of a lot of stuff. I started a new channel about 6 months ago for a couple of reasons. One, I wanted to see if starting fresh would get more viewers to watch the types of things that we're doing here. Number two, I was changing some of the formats and some of the audience, and I thought it would be better if that had a new channel, since here the Delta CX channel is much more heavily about the craft of CX and UX work. And here I want to make sure we're focusing more broadly for lots of people, for product managers, for engineers, for marketers, for anybody who's interested in customer experience or customer centricity and is interested in our shows and webinars or wants to ask questions. It's not just for CX and UX people. So that's why there is a new channel. And how's it going so far? Hard to tell. I would say that the subscriptions have grown faster than the other channel originally grew its subscriptions. We're at about 1,200 people here. I also think that with many people being out of work right now, not as many people are watching YouTube content about work stuff. Let's face it, I'm about work stuff. I'm not always the most fun channel. You might not want to sit down with a nice decaf iced tea and watch hours of me talking about work stuff. So I recognize that I'm not as popular as cooking and life coaching and solar panels and comedy. So I think it's probably a tough time to try to gauge the success of a work-based channel. But basically the way that I see it is if I help one person do anything, it's worth it. Whatever I'm doing is worth it. And my thought is if I am lesser known or I'm not getting as much YouTube action as some people think I should, then I'm helping the people who found me. That's all I can do. So I'm definitely not going to fuss over this YouTube stuff anymore. I'm going to broadcast, and the people who find me and benefit from it, then I'm here to help you. All right, next question. And thank you to that person for caring about my YouTube channel. Spread the word. Tell everybody to subscribe. So this person asks, where is the difference between doing knowledge-based design and explaining how things work in a banner or tooltip? How can you embed the necessary knowledge for the user in the design so that it's not missed? Okay, for this one, I definitely recommend Larry Marine's new book, came out last year, Disruptive Research. That goes very deeply into knowledge design. The original title of the book was Knowledge UX. And luckily he went with Disruptive Research, which I think is a better title. So thing one, please read that book. You're going to get a lot more out of that. Drew says, what if you were able to build an experience that works for child-free people? Would be amazing for inexperienced users. Yeah, I think we've talked about that on previous shows, where if you have somebody, and this is really knowledge design. So Drew, perfect segue. So for example, let's say you have, so someone's saying, what's the difference between knowledge-based design and using banners and tooltips? Great, let's use Drew's example. Wow, this all comes together. You'd think I planned it. So let's imagine that you have a website where people can shop for clothing for babies and young children. Now, if you have a baby or a young child, or you've spent a lot of time around them, then you probably know how to shop for those types of clothing. You have a sense of what types of fabrics might be more comfortable for the baby or child you want to buy for. You might even have a sense of what colors or styles they prefer. You might know what size they are, even though sizing is sometimes done by age. Maybe they're big or small for their age, but you know this child and you know it's going to be a good match for them, so you show up to the site with knowledge. Now, what about, as Drew's pointing out, a child-free person like me, and all of a sudden I go, wow, I that person just had a baby or grandbaby. I should really get something for that baby, but holy cats, I know nothing about babies. I don't think there's anyone who knows less than me about babies. I know zero. Ana Lucia says, I bought stuff for babies, but I have to say, ask my mom for advice. Right. So there's the knowledge. Who's got the knowledge? Mom. Now, what if we built the knowledge into the website? Now, the opposite of that would be no knowledge in the website, or trying to put band-aids and workarounds on the websites by having banners and tooltips and tutorials and how-tos and, hi, if you're buying for this type of baby, you might want this, and hey, you're on this page, but maybe you want to be over here, and hey, did you know that that babies of a certain age really like feet on the end of their pants? I don't know, I'm making this up. Everyone feel free to laugh at me. I've got zero baby knowledge. On purpose. So how would knowledge design, I've got a cursor on my face. How would knowledge design work here? So for example, a website taking advantage of knowledge design would understand where its target users lacked knowledge. If you come there and you know all this stuff, then cool. But what about the people who are less savvy, less familiar, doing something for the first time, things like that? How do we make them feel welcome and like they belong, and like we're not going to treat them like they have to read tooltips or take a class to buy some sort of baby thing? Like, since I don't know anything about babies, like for example, do you get a baby a bib if it's 3 years old? No, probably not. What about 2 years old? Maybe not. 1? I don't know. So hypothetically, if you want to build knowledge into a site or system, then you are supplementing or replacing the knowledge that your users are unlikely to have. So for example, you could quite simply say, hey, this is a bib, great for children up to 1 year old, 2 year old, whatever it is. I don't know, but you tell me, because I don't know. Another example we've done on the channel before is we took a look at the website for Lush, which is a hair care and skin and cosmetic company. And I went to their search and I looked up dry hair, because my task as the user is to solve my problem. My problem is dry hair and lots of it. And so how do I solve that problem? I don't know. You tell me. You tell me what products are good for dry hair. That's the knowledge. I don't have the knowledge. Once I buy something from Lush and I like it, and hashtag not sponsored, maybe I just go, oh, I want more of that. But if I'm showing up to the site with a problem I need to solve, I don't know what solves the problem. I need you to help me. And we found on a previous episode, when I went to Lush and I searched for dry hair, I got absolutely everything on the website that was for hair. Everything. And I would have had to go through every item one by one to read its description and try to figure out, is this good for dry hair? Well, that sucks. That's not a good experience. That's not helping me. It's not utilizing the knowledge the company has internally to make my task easier, even when I am a low knowledge, not savvy person. Ana Lucia says, I bought a winter coat and it worked. Very good. But that's because you got good knowledge from somebody. I wouldn't know which item would have been better without my mom. I don't have babies and not much experience. Yes, I've got zero experience. I've been successfully avoiding babies. And so, again, how would we build in this knowledge so that people don't have to read tooltips or take a tutorial or watch a video or check the manual or read the FAQ? These are often band-aids and workarounds because we didn't do knowledge design. So I hope that helps, and hope some of those examples were helpful. Okay, next question. And by the way, this is the last one I have, and the show is only half over. So if you would like to ask a question, now is a great time, because the last question is coming up next, and then I am available to take your questions live. You can put them in the chat, or you can send them anonymously to deltacx.com/links. There's a link on that page to send in a question anonymously. Okay, this person asked another insider question. Thank you for this to this person for thinking about the form that I use to have you send in your questions anonymously. Debbie, I just sent you a question, and I put every Tuesday, but realized today's the day where you do it later, and you might not read it, and maybe instead of a radio button, you should have a checkbox and boop bop a beep. Long story short, you're totally right. I took the question off the form. Boom. Let's run something for that. Let's see. How about some fire? Boom! I took the question off the page. It didn't matter if it was a radio button or a checkbox. Whenever people put in a question for the show, it's going to be talked about on the next show, and that's that. I'm removing the question and simplifying my form. Thank you to the person who wrote in and inspired me to do such a thing. All right, so that actually leaves us with no questions. So I'll hang around a couple of minutes in case you are typing away. I'll also check our Discord to see if anybody's posted anything to the Q for AMA secret channel for people who are in our mid-level or higher paid Patreon. Let's see. No questions there. Okay. Sorry, send in a note to a buddy. Meanwhile, while we wait to see if anybody is sending a question, let's talk a little bit about some of the events that are coming up. So mark your calendars. Let's see, tomorrow we have Tom Kerwin live in one of our free webinars at 3 p.m. Italy time, 9 a.m. New York time. And he's going to be talking about how do we know when the problem is the problem. Also tomorrow, in case you feel like doing something silly, at 1 p.m. Italy time, 7 a.m. I think New York time, I will be live streaming karaoke on my Twitch channel. Good. We have a question from Sharon. Let's put that one up on the big screen. Okay. Click. All right. I have a hypothesis that most companies could save money and perform research more efficiently if they could quickly access existing research, for example, from a repository. In your experience, do you find this same pain point with most companies? It's hard because when I think about repositories, I think about where they can go wrong. Maybe that's just me with my possible outcomes hat on, but I think about, oh boy, now we got to worry about metadata. What if somebody's looking for previous information about something and they're using different keywords than I used? They might think we have no information. What if it's miscategorized? What if they can't get all the documents or artifacts they're looking for? What if they look at something and they interpret it in a strange way? So I almost wonder if, in addition to our repositories, if we need a bit of a, what I'll call a concierge service, because I think there's probably part of me that would prefer if people came to me and said, hey, did we ever find out how students feel about talking to their advisors for class registration? Oh yeah, that's in this study and this study. Let me pull that for you. Kind of like the librarian, you know, the old school librarian who didn't say, yeah, go find it yourself. So I feel like while there's a lot to be liked about a repository, and while I'm definitely for all research that a company is doing from all teams and departments, marketing, brand, data and analytics, CX, UX, whoever's doing research, I want it all in one findable place. But I feel like sometimes we need that concierge service. So because people might not find it, when they get it, they might not interpret it correctly. They might pull something out of context. I kind of want to make things available through a repository, but I also kind of want to be part of that conversation. I hope that makes sense. I know we have a longer delay today than usual, so I know it takes about a minute for what I'm saying to get to you, so let me know what you think. Let's see. Drew says, how big of a radius is reasonable to do research with or for users with little or no knowledge? You're going to have to explain radius to me, because to me, radius is the distance from the center of a circle to the circumference or outside of the circle. I don't actually know what you're asking. Can you please ask that another way so I can understand the question better? And then I'll happily give you my thoughts on it. So just waiting to learn what a radius is. Meanwhile, I'm going to take a drink of water, and I hope you are all staying hydrated this Tuesday. All right. And since this is Q&A AMA, let's put on an appropriate hat for sage advice. So I'm here to give you some sage advice. And evidently we're going to be talking about radii, but I definitely need more information before I can say something clever about radii. Oh, Latin plurals. Yeah, sorry for the delay today. I'm just waiting to get more information from Drew. Meanwhile, I'll double check if we got any anonymous questions no, we haven't. So as I was saying, tomorrow is Tom Kerwin talking about how do we find problems and know they are problems. Then we've also got, what is this? Free coaching. Oh, good. I'll be talking to someone Thursday, but not on YouTube. Friday, it says critical thinking stream. We did get a handful of stuff come in. So critical thinking stream is going to be once a month, and it's going to be on the Delta CX channel. So that will be Friday, February 9th. Expert to no knowledge, rocket scientists to no idea what a rocket is. Okay, so I think what you're saying, and let's put it up on the screen, is maybe do we recruit people more specifically for people with knowledge and people without knowledge, or people with small, medium, large knowledge, something like that. I do think that is something we should consider. So I do think that we should be looking at a bunch of things. When we're recruiting for research, we want to look at usually varied genders, varied ethnicities, varied ages. Again, unless our product or service or company is more narrow. We want to look for people with different disabilities and accessibility needs. And yes, I think that especially in the name of knowledge design, we want to find people who have different levels of knowledge. Let me give you an example. We did a study a couple of years ago for a company that does logo products like pens and so on. And we just tried to recruit a general audience of people who in their job or in their personal life are responsible or co-responsible for shopping for or buying logo products. And we ended up finding that there were some people that really lacked knowledge. And this came up in the study from observing people and talking to them. And for example, there was one field on the page that asked people for their Pantone or PMS color. Many people familiar with the Pantone system know that the Pantone system is numbers. And that even if you have a green, there's going to be a specific number for the shade of green that you're referring to. So we had people fill this out, and someone said, Pantone color. Well, my logo is navy blue, and she wrote navy blue. Now, of course, there are many navy blues in the Pantone universe, and so that could cause a problem. Her order might be delayed while someone tries to get in touch with her and ask her what color it is. The order could be wrong. She might say, this isn't my shade of navy blue. What is this crap? So she's got low knowledge in that specific area. The rest of the stuff she was pretty good with. So sometimes we can't predict every area in which someone might have low or no knowledge, and it might be hard to use a screener survey to figure out who has low or no knowledge. Because even if we had said, do you know what a Pantone color is, this woman probably would have confidently said, yep. So I think that where possible, we do want to try to get people with different levels of knowledge and experience, but recruiting for that is going to be hard. So it's another good reason why we want to recruit for larger audiences for studies, and not just 3 people and 2 people and 5 people where possible, because then we're more likely to get those variations of knowledge, experience, and savvy, because they can be hard to recruit for, since many people will often identify or self-identify as being savvier than they are. Wah, wah. So, yeah. So to me, you can go with a bigger radius, but again, the downside is the more people that you want to interview, the more diversity you'll get. That's the upside. The downside is your project will take longer. And at many companies, they would rather have a short, crappy project than a longer, good project. So we have to kind of see where our company draws the line between quality and speed. I'm always hoping for more quality and moderate speed, but I'm certainly quality first. Let's see. I appear to be getting some sort of private message. Let's see if we can quickly respond to that. But again, if you do have a question, I'm here for some more minutes. Let's see. Someone is asking if I can do a free portfolio review, and the answer is yes. I only do 1 per person. After that, I do charge for them. So don't forget to use it wisely. I recommend very highly that you please watch my video on portfolios before asking for the free review, because I can't tell you how many times people send me portfolios where they clearly either didn't watch that video or didn't care about what I said, because I find all the same mistakes. Okay. Oh, good. Dr. Nick has accepted the calendar invites for our new schedule. You might notice that some of the shows that we've been doing and the webinars are changing times. We're doing some later and some earlier, depending upon where in the world you live. For me, it's this one is late. We're coming up on midnight my time, and so we're going to make sure Dr. Nick does some earlier ones and some later ones, so we can make sure we try to get everyone around the world. Drew says, require input of a Pantone number and display the color of the number input. Yes, you're not wrong. That's an interesting way to go. But what if she says, I don't know the Pantone number. I only know that our logo looks navy blue to me. So now we have a problem. Chances are her order or her process or her flow has to be paused while she goes and finds her graphic designer or some records about her logo or her branding and style guide and says, oh, okay, our Pantone is, I'm going to make one up. I don't have them memorized. 363. I think that might be more of a teal than a blue, but just stick with me. It's probably not navy. So, 363, that's what I need. But again, this is knowledge design. She doesn't know this. So what Larry would suggest is sometimes, especially if we have a longer process that could break in the middle if people are missing information or knowledge, that you give them some heads up before they start the process. Hey, in order to complete this order, you're going to need the logo you want on your stuff in these following formats or resolutions. You're going to need to know your spot colors, which are probably Pantone colors or CMYK colors. And you're going to need to know this other thing. If you check all three boxes, start your order. So there's definitely ways to do it. So I think that what you're saying could make sense, but for people who really want to make sure that the logo or color matches other stuff they've had made, they'll want to make sure that they get that number from some expert, their graphic designer, their branding person, a style guide, you know, wherever it comes from. So yes, so your solution is helpful, but it doesn't totally solve it. So that's where, again, more research and understanding and knowledge design can help us out there. We've still got 10 minutes, says the countdown timer in the corner. So again, if you have any questions, I would be happy to take them, or disagreements or challenges. That's cool too. Let's take a look at other things that are coming up on my calendar. Let's see. Ooh, I am not ready to do that at all. I've got a webinar coming Monday and I haven't even started writing it. I might have to move it. Sorry about that. What is that? Oh, yeah. And then next Tuesday is going to be another Ask Me Anything with Dr. Nick. So he'll be here, and look out for that. Wednesday the 14th, which is Valentine's Day, we're doing a show learning more about what researchers do. Some of you might say, I know what researchers do, but I find that there are still companies and teams and newbies and other people who don't totally know what a researcher does, don't really understand their day-to-day. So we're going to be talking about that, so we can have a whole series of different people talking about their jobs, and that will also help some of our coworkers who somehow don't know what we do. We can point them to the video when it's on YouTube. Let me make a note. I might need to reschedule February 12 workshop webinar. Reschedule 12 Feb. I am not ready. I didn't start writing it, and it's in less than a week. I'm in trouble. Me versus me. Make a chatbot inspired by my mom. I didn't see that before. That's funny. Chatbots, too many. No, thank you. Yeah, so we've got a few more minutes here together. In case you're typing, I'll hang around. But of course, I wish there was type an emoji in the chat if you're going to ask a question, so I know to wait for your question. That would be great, because the emoji I can see, but you know, I don't know if anyone's typing right now. I don't get a cue, so that's the downside. I might be waiting for nothing. Wouldn't be the first time. Oh, I am ready for sleeping. Good night. Yes, so again, I will be streaming tomorrow at 3 p.m. Italy time with Tom Kerwin to talk about how to find problems and determine if a problem is a problem. And I'll also type in the chat my secret Twitch karaoke channel. In case you'd like to join tomorrow, I'll be streaming live at 1 p.m. Italy time, a little early for people in North and South America. Sorry. But I do record them and I put them up on Vimeo later. So you can find them at vimeo.com/ same thing here, The Apiary Studio. Tomorrow my theme is House and Home. Songs with house and home in the title or story. Yeah, other than that, I think we can probably wind down a little early. I'm not sure anybody's asking anything else, but thank you for a great session with some great questions. And again, we'll be here every Tuesday doing free mentoring. What time is that in New York time? Okay, so tomorrow, the webinar on finding problems and validating problems is 3 p.m. Italy time. We're 6 hours ahead of you this week, so that would be 9 a.m. New York time. If you want to wake up early and watch my karaoke stream on Twitch, that would be 7 a.m. New York time. So optional. Both will be recorded. What we're doing with our webinars is we're recording them. We get them on YouTube. We share them with the Patreon members, the paid ones, even people at the $1 a month level. So you get early access to our recordings. And then 2 weeks later, we make those recordings public and they're available to everybody. The Patreons are usually, the free Patreons will be the first to know that those are now public, and then everybody else will find out afterwards. So again, another good reason to join the Patreon, even at the free level. Plus, there's lots of other perks too. Check it out, patreon.com/CXCC for customer experience, customer centricity. And and don't forget to check out the Space Workshop. Space Workshop will be back in mid-April. It's 3 half days about strategizing products and customer experiences. People love it so much, they keep asking me to make it longer. I've stopped making it longer. It's now 3 half days. We'll be doing it on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 4 hours each. Should work for most time zones. Sorry, India. Most time zones. It's not being recorded. Be there or miss it. And yeah, so check Space out. You can, of course, find that in the events. Just go find your way to April 12th, I think it is, and you'll see a link there to learn more and register. So that will be totally live and remote. So you don't have to fly anywhere, you don't have to travel anywhere, and depending upon what time you work, you might even not need any time off on that Friday. But yes, I am asking for some weekend time because I know it's easier for people who are working to take a course that's over a few weekend hours. It's hit and miss. Some people say, how dare you, try to get me to join you on a weekend. Well, sorry. When I do the not weekends, people go, I can't get away from work. All right. Remember, you can always find everything in the events calendar. You don't even have to ask me what time things are. This is a very cool events calendar. You can RSVP to individual things, and I'm not adding you to a mailing list, or you can add it to your calendar. Google Calendar, Apple Calendar, Outlook Calendar. You can add our entire events calendar to yours and always know when things are happening in the right time zones, especially because next month I'm going to be changing clocks. You might change clocks, and these might happen in different weeks. And then it's going to be all messed up because I'm always doing things in Italy time and we change clocks at different times. So that being said, I'm going to say a thank you and a good night to everybody. Thanks for joining live. Great to see y'all, and some familiar names and some new names, but I think most people are familiar, yeah. People I'm connected to on LinkedIn and people joining on the YouTube. So I will fire us out of here since we're not playing. Buona notte. Thank you. You too. How do you say it in Portuguese? Since Ana Lucia is a Portuguese speaker. Yes, so I'm going to light a fire here and say goodbye and thanks again. And you can find this archived on YouTube. It's already there. It's in the, I'll move it to the AMA playlist. And tomorrow when I wake up, I'll make a thumbnail. Too tired. Going to bed. It's midnight. I can't pronounce that, but thank you. All right. Bye, everybody. Have a I'm still streaming. What happened? I'm still streaming. That didn't work. Sorry everybody. I thought I had turned everything off.